Hey listeners, Luna here. We hope everyone is staying safe and inside, and we want to give a massive shout out to all the people out there who are still having to go into work. You are in our thoughts during these very uncertain times. If you are home and needing something to do, feel free to go back and listen to our older episodes. We will continue to upload new episodes as planned until further notice. Thank you so much for listening and enjoy the show.
It's time for a Shway Media podcast.
Disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed in the show do not necessarily reflect those of Shway Media or any subsidiaries. The program may contain strong language not suitable for young audiences. Series discussions will contain spoilers. Listener discretion is advised. Enjoy the show! Everybody.
Hi guys. Welcome to Dubterfuge. I'm Matt.
I'm Luna. Happy quarantine.
Yay.
My brain has just been like functioning at like half its capacity because I work in the medical field and shit is bananas right now.
Yeah, I work in a pharmacy and it's if your shit is even like, your shit doesn't even compare to mine. Mine's like a fraction of what you're going through.
Yeah, it's nuts. So we thought we'd do a really lighthearted show.
Yeah, it's something light and fun and uplifting and happy.
And no violence at all.
Nothing, just hugs and positivity.
Just rainbows and kittens and sprinkles of magic.
Trick, we're doing Black Lagoon.
Yeah, just psych. We are doing Black Lagoon, which is a 2010-ish anime by Studio Madhouse. One of my favorites. And also features probably my favorite character, like, ever. And that is Rebecca Revy Two Hands Lee. Anyway, this is based on the manga by Hiroe. It's just nuts. I have, I think, pretty much all of the manga. I highly recommend reading the manga because the manga is fucking great, as well as the show, which is also really fucking great. Lots of action, lots of swearing, lots of explosions. Yeah, it's an all-around really great time, which we will get into. But first, some news. Crunchyroll has announced its new seasonals for spring. So first off, we have Tower of God, which is a manhwa, meaning it's based on a Korean manga. And it's about a boy who enters a mysterious tower and must face the challenges each floor brings.
And the part about that I'm most psyched for is Kevin Pankin, the guy who did the soundtrack for Made in Abyss, is working on it for that, so you know it's going to be banging.
Mm-hmm. And then I mentioned this last episode slightly, but The Eighth Son, are you kidding me? Yeah, it's another isekai. A salaryman wakes up inside the body of a young boy. Will his newly discovered powers bring him fortune? Or misfortune?
Please have an alphabet. Please have an alphabet. I have the itch and it's been too long and I start to get twitchy and I need my cryptography fix.
Next up, we have My Life as a Villainess. All routes lead to doom. So this is an anime by Silverlink about an otome game loving girl who gets reincarnated into her favorite game, but as the villain, now she has to avoid all of the bad endings.
I'm glad Isekai's not dead. After this season, I thought they were like on their way out, but then we get a bunch of these, and it's just a good feeling.
But this is like a whole new level of like trapped in a game.
Yeah, though they go from just playing the game to trapped in the game.
And then we have the Woodpecker Detective's Office by Leiden Films. In 1909, a poet starts a detective agency to support his family and begins investigating a series of ghost appearances. And much, much more to come. So, looking forward to that. And also, as of right now, Funimation has put a delay on their simuldub productions, meaning they're kind of trying to shift to a lot of their actors working from home.
Which honestly, I'm really curious to see like the logistics stuff, because I know like studio quality at home, like no offense to anyone, it varies from anywhere from like jerry rigged to complete like booth. So I'm just interested to see how that's gonna work.
I mean, I trust that the quality will be, serviceable. I mean, these are all professionals, I trust their experience, and I trust that they will make do with what they have to.
I'm not doubting them at all. I'm just the logistics are what interest me in here.
Well, we shall see what is to come. But yeah, that just means that I think it will impact a lot of like the same day dubs, and then so a bunch of titles might have like a couple weeks in delay between their episodes. So anyway, speaking of seasonals really quick, I just finished all of It Invaded.
I'm waiting for the dub, but go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't fucking take it anymore, because I figured the dub was gonna come out in like the next like 4 or 5 weeks, and I was like, nah, fuck that. I had to know it was gonna happen. Holy shit balls. Yeah, this is easily one of my favorite shows of the season for a reason. Yes, that rhymed. Oh my god. Yeah, I cannot say enough great things about this show. It's so good. It's so good. It's Inception meets The Cell, and it's so good. And like the music in that show is just so banging.
Is like it was so good. Like Haley from Funimation's social team had to do like at least 2 articles about it, and it's worth at least 2 articles.
Oh, for sure. Let's see, anything else about seasonals? Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken just wrapped with their last episode. Yeah, that series is just a wild ride, and I'm so glad that I was along for it.
In terms of the new stuff coming, I'm most excited for and I'm blanking on the name, the Race Across America one that
Barre Ranman,
yes. Barre Ranman.
Barre Ranman
by PA Works. That like is one, the visuals are just stunning. Like,
if you haven't seen the PV yet, go watch it. It's awesome.
Imagine anime with just like imagine like a PA Works thing with just like a drop of Don Bluth and Ghibli mixed in, and it's just beautiful. Yeah,
it's almost like Wacky Races, but like
that's what Kyle and I were saying it like looked like, because it's like anime Wacky Races. I'm expecting like a turtle shell to go flying at some point in that show.
Oh god, if it's a blue shell, we're all in trouble.
It's a what show?
If it's a blue shell, we are all in trouble.
We're screwed. We're screwed. Yeah, I'm really, really excited for that one.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun as fuck. And thank God Funimation got it.
Yes.
Like, I was so happy. Speaking of Funimation, too, I just got a bunch of Blu-rays in that I had pre-ordered, so I have to dig through those. I'll have to go and get them at some point, but like to go through everything. But I believe I definitely got
I'm waiting on Fire Force and a couple others.
Yeah.
But with the current quarantine, I doubt I doubt I'll see them anytime soon. So like So like a few months from now, I'm just gonna have this like deluge of anime come in with like a sudden dent in my bank account. It's gonna be funsies.
Okay, I got Psycho-Pass, the complete collection. Now I finally have it on Blu-ray.
Cool. I own both seasons individually.
I got Real Life plus the OVAs.
Cool.
I got Code Geass, the complete series, and then Akito the Exiled, and then I got One Piece Film Gold, mainly because it's just a really fun movie,
nice.
And I really, really, really like the opening song because it is catchy as hell.
It is.
The
most recent pre-order I got was One Piece Stampede, which is also insane and a wild ride.
And then the last thing I got is something that I've been looking forward to watching for a really long time, and that is Fujiko's Lie.
Yes. I pre-ordered that too, and I got it a couple weeks back. It is stunning. Holy crap.
I've seen it in Japanese. I'm just waiting for now I can finally watch the goddamn dub. And then also I am also waiting to get my hands on Goemon's Blood Spray.
I will admit, I'm not criticizing, just saying, I'm used to the cast of Lupin from the Toonami from the parts 1 through 5. So the different voices took me out of it a little bit at first, but then I just sort of got used to it a little further in. That's my one minor-ish inconsequential thing with it.
Which ones are different?
All of them.
Really? Even Michelle Ruff and
Christina V is Fujiko in this one.
Ooh.
She actually does a pretty good match.
Who is Lupin? Because usually it's Tony Oliver.
Yeah, they have a completely new cast. Hang on.
Well, while Matt's looking that up, I'm just gonna go back and gush about Eizouken really quick. Seriously though, if you are passionate about animation, if you are a fan of animation in general, please give this show a chance because it is gorgeous and it is full of so much passion, and I can tell not just Masaki Yuasa but his team at Science Saru have injected all of their love and passion into this show, and you can clearly tell they love what they do. And it's just beautiful. So that's just me gushing on this show for a minute. I cannot say enough great things about it. Apparently they're making a live action version out of it, and I'm not really sure why. Because it's there are certain shows that could translate to live action, like the show we're about to talk about. But there are certain shows that are just a little bit, that just work so perfectly animated. I'm not sure why they would bother putting it in live action, just kind of making things harder for themselves.
Okay, I have the cast up. Christina V. Oh, Tony Oliver directed it. Christina V. is Fujiko.
Okay.
Billy Kometz, who is Naofumi in Shield Hero, is Binkum. Dan Warren is Daisuke. Danny Katiana is Godfrey. Erica Harlacher is Jean. And funny you mentioned Film Gold. Keith Silverstein is Lupin.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then the other minor roles are done by Ben Lepley, Bill Millsap, D.W. McMahon, Jake Eberly, Caitlin Galt, Laura Stahl, who also did the scripts, and then Matthew David Rudd.
Cool. All right, so if that's I think we're done with the news for now.
We're talking about Black Lagoon now, aren't we? Not Fujiko.
Yeah. We should probably get into what we're meant to talk about, which is one of my favorite shows, like pretty much ever. Black Lagoon. So, some of my notes just have a bunch of like memorable quotes, and then a little bit of notes about the OVA Roberta's Blood Trail and how there's like a bunch of differences from the anime and the manga, and then stuff about the soundtrack and the weird thing that happens at the end of the OVA that we will get to.
Yeah, the OVA is just thought-provoking, to say the least.
But there's a couple things at the end that are just like, ugh. But we will get to that. Anyway.
Yeah, there were a couple of odd things there.
Anyway. This show takes place in a fictionalized version of a port city just off the coast of Thailand in the South China Sea that is pretty much like overrun with like criminals and criminal activity.
Imagine like Tortuga, but modern in Thailand and with far more guns.
Pretty much. So it follows the Lagoon Company, which are like a mercenary FedEx crew, essentially.
I like that.
The chief operator is Dutch, who I think he was an African American, who is like kind of like their
de facto leader.
Yeah, he's like their de facto leader. He may or may not be former U.S. Navy / like captain. And he also may or may not have fought in the Vietnam War. That's kind of left up in the air.
He likes to sort of just be cool about his past and not talk about it, which makes him even cooler.
Yeah. There's a lot more stuff in the manga that kind of touches on that. They kind of leave a lot of that stuff out of the anime. But anyway, he's super like he's chill, but like you do not want to fuck with this guy.
True.
Like at all. I was actually thinking like if they made a live action version, like who would I cast as everyone? And it was actually a lot harder to like than I thought it would be. Like I'm still kind of like I don't know who I would cast as everybody, but anyway.
Honestly, if I'm looking at the actor who played him, and you could just cast the voice actor. Honestly, like he could do it. Dean Redman, just like same height and build, pretty much.
So our second in command, not really, of the Lagoon Company is my favorite fucking character, and that is
Benny.
Rebecca Revy, Two Hands Lee. She is like the muscle. We'll get to Benny in a sec.
Yes.
So she is Chinese American, and she has like kind of like a slightly deeper complexion, and she's got like a tattoo that runs from like I want to say like mid sleeve, so like shoulder to about like 3/4 length sleeve to like around her shoulder and a little bit below her collarbone. She typically wears like a tank top and like cut off like Daisy Dukes and two guns strapped to her side. She is a no nonsense, like mouth like a fucking sailor, very quick tempered and very rash, and will not hesitate to fight someone. And I fucking love her. Like, I love her so much. She's such a badass. She's fucking crazy. I love her.
I love just how, like, anything she says just gives off the vibe of, I would rather be fucking anywhere else but here right now. I'd rather be taking a shit in a swamp right now than do whatever we're doing.
It's not so much that. Like, she actually really loves her job. It's more or less like, why do I have to put up with you people kind of thing.
Yeah. Still, I just love that vibe she gives off of just like, fuck this whole thing.
Let's see. Like, so according to her character description, Revy is a merciless and sadistic killer without a conscience who will be more than ready to kill anyone at the slightest provocation. She takes maniacal glee in fighting just about anybody for fun. She also has very little remorse for her enemies and has many times often tried to show up her opponents just to see like how they are in like a combat sort of situation. Now there's a little bit more to her backstory that they kind of delve into the manga, not so much in the anime. They actually leave out a good bit of her backstory in the anime. But in the manga, like, it's revealed she had a pretty fucked up past.
Yeah, they show bits and pieces of her past, and even just like those quick glimpses, like, just tell you, holy shit. Like, there was just some really just cringy things that happened to her. Like, no. We'll just leave it at that. It is. We swear, but this stuff is just not nice to talk about.
Yeah, it's pretty dark, and you can kind of see how she ended up in Roanapur. And then our other member of the crew is Benny, who is like kind of like their resident, like, I don't even know what he does. Well, okay,
IT, driving. Yeah.
He's kind of like their IT / like boat captain / He's
their command center guy.
Yeah, and fun fact, is a Jew.
Really? He's mishpacha?
He literally fucking says it in like the third or fourth episode where they go hunting for that sunken ship.
I do not remember that, but
and
okay.
Then Dutch talks to him, and he's like, "Yo, he's like, yeah, I'm Jewish. My whole motto is like kill Nazis. Like, what are you talking about?"
Oh, okay, I remember the Nazi part now. Yeah.
That was a really weird storyline because like Rock was almost like kind of feeling bad for them, and part of me was like, who fucking cares? They're Nazis. But anyway, more on that in a minute because I forgot to talk about our main character, which is Rock.
Yes.
So his real name is Rokuro Okajima, and he was a salaryman who basically got marooned on board on board the Lagoon Company ship, and pretty much like basically like a deal that kind of went bad, and his company basically just like sold him out. It was just like, fuck it,
I'm a pirate now.
Like, yeah, they're just like, fuck it, we don't care if he's collateral, like, whatever. So he's just like, fuck you. Like, you literally just left me here to die.
You dicks.
But then at the end of the first episode, he actually so Revy's just straight up ready to like kill him at one point, because she's just like, whatever. But then he actually proves himself to be like useful. And he helps them evade these fighter jets that are trying to like follow them and kill them. And he helps them like sort of like evade danger, and they use their rocket, and then says again one of the most like famous lines in the show, when they finally ambush like the helicopter that's trying to chase them, and says, "Yeah, you got fucked." But he goes, "Yeah, you got fucked."
Honestly, Rock has to be some of the best slow burn character developments in like anime ever, because he goes from just this like innocent, not like carefree, but just like innocent, ignorant salaryman to just this fucking shaded, I don't want to say asshole, but he gets like dark, jaded, and just bitter. Like Roanapur like infects him and changes him, and you get to see that happen slowly over the course of these 2 seasons, and it is just brilliant character development.
Yeah, it gets a little bit worse in the manga, especially after Roberta's blood trail, aka a baile de muerte.
It gets especially fucked up in the
No, it like even worse after that, and then like Revy has to like do some shit. But
even
anyway,
more fucked up than how he is in the OVA.
Oh yeah, like but anyway, I don't want to get in. That's like major fucking spoilers. I don't want to get into that. Read the manga is basically what I'm saying, because it's fucking great.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, like seriously. A lot of people try to ship him and Revy.
I can see it. They work well together. That's why people.
Like I do and I don't. Again, you'll understand more if you read the manga, just based on like both of their personalities.
They would be like one of those couples who's constantly at odds, but somehow makes it work.
I would say if either of them were in the slightest bit more normal, then maybe.
Mm-hmm. Like if they actually had happy, loving upbringings.
Yeah, but because of the way they are, probably not.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh well. Anyway, some other memorable quotes of mine. One is from Dutch, which is, as an employer, I worry about human relations. When they're looking up the schematic of that Nazi submarine that sank, I swear to fucking God, at the bottom of the schematic, it literally says, "Fuck Plan von Schiff."
I gotta look that up now.
No, I shit you not. And I laughed so fucking hard.
Wow.
I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I was laughing, so I swear to God it says that. I'm not kidding.
Maybe it was like an Easter egg or something that one of the animators put in.
Maybe. But I swear to God. And then like another one, my favorite line from Revy, I think it's in the episode after which we'll talk about in just a second, but yeah, we'll circle back to this, but it's after the episode where they rescue, sort of, basically where they get involved with that money, with that cash processing center with that girl.
Mm-hmm.
But Revy literally says like, "Hey, maybe Aladdin will rub his magic dick for us," and then bam.
Yeah, they did not censor anything in this show. Like,
there was a ton of swearing in the show, and it's beautiful. However, there are a couple of things in here, or in this in the manga and in the anime, that clearly have not aged well at all. And there's a lot of really, really racist dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of like really like racist portrayals of certain characters. Like pretty much like Shinhwa's entire portrayal is so fucking racist.
She's that assassin, right?
Yeah, she's the Taiwanese assassin that has all the knives.
Yeah,
she's actually one of my favorite characters. Like she's a badass, but it's so fucking racist.
Trying to find who plays her.
I believe her name is Saffron Henderson. And she is a voice actor for the Ocean Group, or was a voice actor for the Ocean Group.
Okay, let's talk about the actors here for a second, because a lot of them are actually like fairly prominent, like in
so this was dubbed by the Ocean Group, who are based out of Vancouver, Canada.
And honestly, like a lot of the actors have done other prominent work, like honestly,
like Barbie and My Little Pony.
Yeah, like Garcia from the Lovelace family.
Mm-hmm.
It's voiced by Kathy Westlock, who others might best know as Spike from My Little Pony. And honestly, there is like little to no difference between Garcia's voice and Spike's voice. So just hearing hearing what was like otherwise as a baby dragon just say all this dark shit is just the weirdest dissonance ever, and that just only made it better.
Luckily I've never seen MLP, so I didn't have that sort of weird dissonance, but...
Oh, yeah, and another one, Roberta, voiced by Tabitha St. Germain. Who, honestly, her anime work is just brilliant. I've seen her in a couple other things, too. Holy crap, that lady is talented.
Yeah, she's done a lot of anime.
She's best known for just, like, for Rarity in My Little Pony, so a lot of that. Or another one, Sam Vincent, who... you watched Ed, Edd n Eddy.
Oh, yeah.
He was Double D.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, just the dissonance and contrast between, like, the dark shit here and then just some of the, like, light and fluffy characters that they played is just fun to hear and watch.
But shout out to Revy's voice actress, Marika Hendricks.
Yes.
Because she is just fucking great in, like, so many ways.
Yes, she is. She deserves, like, all the Annies for that role.
Okay, so back to the show, which we should probably break up by arc.
Personally, my favorite arc is the one with the Lovelace family. I just loved the dynamics there, especially with...
So that's La Baile de la Muerte. Well, actually, there's two of them. There's one that shows up slightly in the beginning of the series, and then there's one that's in the OVA. So yeah, let's talk about when Roberta first shows up. So, Roberta, aka Rosarita Cisneros, is a maid who worked for the Loveless family, who were a wealthy family from Venezuela. She's a pale-skinned woman with a waist-length dark purple hair, and she kind of wears this, like, typical, like, anime, like, maid outfit.
They all do.
And a long, like, cross necklace. So turns out, though, her real name, like I said earlier, is actually Rosarita Cisneros, and she is a former FARC-trained guerrilla.
Says that she's Colombian.
Yeah, she's she's part of the FARC. But anyway.
True.
She's a former FARC-trained guerrilla as an assassin in Cuba, an internationally wanted criminal, and even Balalaika is, like, a little bit afraid of, but will never admit it, because she's fucking Balalaika. We will talk about Balalaika in a second.
Really, the only person who's, like, chomping at the bit to just, like, throw down and fuck with her is Revy. And I think that's just because she doesn't know how truly dangerous she is.
Oh, I think she does, but she likes it.
True.
Because in Revy's mind, she's always trying to find someone who's, like, a worthy opponent, and finally she found someone that she deems a worthy opponent.
True.
She often refers... So Roberta was known as the Bloodhound of Florencia due to her relentless drive to achieve her objectives. Revy refers to her as that fucking glasses bitch.
A term of endearment, no doubt.
As a FARC-trained guerrilla, Roberta has a pretty fucked up backstory.
Yeah.
Like, she was, like, basically a tool for a bunch of, like, drug cartels, and she killed a lot of innocent people. And then,
her,
like,
methods are anywhere from murderous to seductive.
Well, seductive then murderous.
Well, okay, yeah, I was talking, like, in spectrum, but yes, in sequence, yeah. Yes, seductive to murderous. I want that belt, by the way.
the belt that has the gun in it. Yeah, that was pretty dope.
Yeah, I'm thinking, that's probably concealed carry, which might not be legal in most states, but still, that is cool as hell.
I mean...
The bullets must be hella expensive for that, because you have to get those custom.
Yeah, in Texas and Florida, it's probably like, yeah, whatever.
Anyway, that's probably like every third person you see on the street.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want a bucket of bullets? Cool. Country is broken. It's a Brooklyn Nine-Nine reference. Anyway, so eventually she left the FARC and joined up with the Loveless family, who kind of like took her in as their maid. Oh, by the way, if you don't know what the FARC is, that stands for the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, aka the People's Army, and they are basically a guerrilla movement involved in the continuing Colombian armed conflict, which started like way back in the 60s. That's a whole other fucking rabbit hole. But that kind of gives you like a little bit of like background. But anyway, you know, she kind of wanted to leave that life behind and become a maid, and she really grew attached to the Loveless family because essentially they kind of saved her life to an extent, and she's very like indebted to them. And so eventually the young master is, I guess he gets kidnapped and he ends up with the Lagoon Company somehow. And so she goes down to Roanapur to retrieve him by any means necessary. And when I say by any means necessary, I legit fucking mean that. Also, I feel really bad for the guy that owns that one bar that keeps getting shot up.
I hope he has good insurance. I mean,
gonna say
the premiums are gonna be like through the roof after all this shit. But I hope he has good insurance.
Then again, it is fucking Roanapur, so who knows?
He would probably like take a gun and shake down whoever did that. Like, yeah, I want a cut to cover the damages and then maybe a little extra.
Yeah, man, that poor bar. I feel really, because like I feel bad for that guy actually.
I'm just a poor bar, so please stop shooting me.
'Cause these premiums are really
so
expensive.
High, I don't want to die.
Anyway.
Bohemian Bar City.
Anyway.
Here's the link to my mixtape.
So another player in all of this is the nun known as Edda. Holy shit, she is a character.
Yeah, she's basically Revy's best friend.
To an extent.
Like, she's the only one that Revy gets along with to any degree of consistency.
Yeah. So yeah, Edda is a nun, and I say that with very sarcastic quotations.
She's taken the vow and dresses up as such, but beyond that, yeah, she's Satan's nun, basically.
Edda is a very interesting character. Like, she's part of the church, but not really.
She's part of it on paper.
Yeah. And also, like, that church, like, definitely runs a lot of like, bad money.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she's basically affiliated with the church. It's just called the church. And Sister Yolanda Rico. So she has ties to the underground since the convent is mainly a smuggling operation. So she is a Caucasian woman who appears to be in like her late 20s or early 30s, blonde hair, blue eyes, and is always seen with angular pink sunglasses, even with her nun's habit.
Here's my headcanon about the church and how they're still able to do this. Like, I'm guessing the archdiocese does not revoke their status just because they're too afraid of retaliation.
Well, also she has ties to the CIA.
True. But that's my theory. The archdiocese is just too scared and too smart not to do anything or say anything.
I mean, she it's literally revealed that she has ties to Langley, Virginia, which is the headquarters of the CIA.
FBI. Oh no, that's Quantico. No. FBI. You're right. That's Quantico at Langley's CIA. They're both in Virginia.
Kind of. Well, one is in D.C. at the J. Edgar Hoover building.
I don't need your judgment.
Quantico is the training facility for the FBI.
Close enough for government work.
God, you clearly do not watch enough crime shows.
I don't.
There's literally a show called FBI. Anyway,
I watched American Dad, and an episode of Billy and Mandy that told me about Quantico.
Right.
You're
such like, you know.
Your disapproval only gives me strength.
On that note, let's take a really short break, and we will come back and talk about whatever the arc that comes after this. Hansel and Gretel and Balalaika. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, those are fun.
When we come back.
This episode is brought to you by Brews and the Boys. So, what's your favorite American football team? Did you say the Dallas Cowboys? If you didn't, you're wrong. And if you're still saying, well, Tim, no, they're not my favorite team, well, let me recommend that you listen to the Brews and the Boys podcast with Michael Sizemore and Tom Ryle of Blogging the Boys so that they can prove to you that your favorite team is indeed the Dallas Cowboys. Brews and the Boys is your friendly neighborhood podcast that's a lot like going down to your friendly neighborhood bar and watching and talking about the game with your friends. Every week, Michael and Tom give an in-depth analysis about what the Cowboys have done, what they're doing, their player stats, player analysis, everything under the sun that you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys you can find from Michael Sizemore and Tom Ryle every week on the Brews and the Boys podcast on Blogging the Boys and the Vox Media Podcast Network. For more information and episodes, head on over to brewsandtheboys.com. And now, back to the show.
We're back.
Hey! Alright, so now we're going to talk about everyone's favorite brother and sister, and I say that with very, sarcastic quotations. The Nightmare twins. The Nightmare vampire twins known as Hansel and Gretel. Are two, Romanian twin orphans. Who are basically turned into, fucking crazy assassins. And this arc is really depressing, and I hated it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't hate it as much as the last one we're going to talk about. But anyway.
It's just depressing because, they're going to have to, they're going to have to kill some kids.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just, you can tell how it's going to end, and that just makes it more depressing.
Mm-hmm. So they're kind of dressed in, a gothic Lolita style. Of course, because anime. Man, this whole thing was just so fucking sad. So basically, they were orphaned at a young age, then sold into the sex trade, into basically child sex trafficking, which is really fucked up.
Yeah.
And so in order to find them though, Balalaika literally has to sit through hours and hours of porn until she finds Gretel.
Yeah, that was just the most interesting method to me. That's one way to find them, but still the fact that she had
in the 90s.
The fact that she had to do that is just disgusting, really. But yeah, it was just gross that she, one, had that much to watch, and two, had to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone's gonna do it, it's gonna be Balalaika. But anyway. So yeah, if you don't know who Balalaika is a badass. She is the head of Hotel Moscow. And she is a scary, tall Russian lady with a huge ass scar that runs like down the side of her face and smokes a lot of cigars. And she's voiced by Patricia Drake, who does a fucking phenomenal job, by the way. Her weapons of choice include a Dragunov sniper rifle and a Stechkin APS. So it's revealed in her backstory that she fought during the Afghan-Russian conflict. This is like in the late 80s, early 90s. That was a really messed up war. So yeah, her real name is Sofia Pavlovna. But that name is not used in her, that name is pretty much, like, dead to her at this point. We just call her Balalaika. She is the granddaughter of a Red Army general. And I guess, like, her father, is either, like, condemned by the USSR or, like, fled the country or whatever, but, like, she assumed captain of in the Soviet army, and the reason that they call her Balalaika is basically because of the sniper rifle that the Dragunov that she uses. But yeah, she is not to be fucked with whatsoever.
I'd say she is just as dangerous, if not more so, as Revy, but they have just different...
She's way more dangerous than Revy. They have
different demeanors, which honestly set them apart. Revy is ready to, like, just throw down at the drop of a hat, while Balalaika is the cool, relaxed, tactical type, where, like, if you see her, like, actually, like, raise her voice beyond just really just sort of like a laid back kind of casual tone, you know you fucked up.
Like when she's going after one of the, I think it's Hansel, but she literally just tells him point blank, like, I'm going to kill you now. It's just like, yeah.
She's done it so much that it's just a humdrum, mundane thing to her that she can just say it so casually as just like, are you ready to die, little boy?
Yeah, like, she's not to be fucking messed with. So her organization is part of the Russian mafia, known as Hotel Moscow. They're composed of dedicated men, all former Red Army paratroopers who served under Balalaika during the Soviet War in Afghanistan. And the Bougainville Trade Company and the cargo ship, the Maria Zalitska, serve as legal covers for their activities. Hotel Moscow also employs a number of ex-Spetsnaz, which are like specialized Russian trained mercenaries and airborne soldiers who act as a special ops team.
Honestly, I think one of the coolest parts with her was seeing her in her military uniform. I just thought she looked really cool in that, and just really had that presence and energy with like a real commanding officer.
But yeah, she's pretty fucking scary. Rock almost gets his ass shot like so many fucking times from Balalaika, and then like that's pretty much their entire dynamic is like Rock doing something fucking stupid and then Revy having to bail his ass out.
Yeah. She reminds me a lot of Integra Fairbrook Helsing from Helsing and Helsing Ultimate. Just same cool, quiet energy, but could just fuck you up with a smile on her face, and immediately, no hesitation. The strong, quiet types are some of my favorite characters, since since they have to have a certain energy to them.
Yeah, for sure. So actually the twins arc does not resolve very happy at all, but it does end with this really gorgeous song, which is performed by it's called World of Midnight by Minako Obata. The song is fucking gorgeous. It's also really fucking sad. But holy shit, it's so good. It's so fucking good.
That song really stood out to me, honestly. I'm not saying the soundtrack was bad, but I'm saying, like, I was sort of hoping that, like, the rest of the music would be as good. Again, not saying it's bad, but that was like.
Oh yeah, I didn't even mention this. The opening to this show is a banger. The end.
Yeah.
Like, it's so, and it's sung in English.
Yeah.
Kind of. But yeah. The ending theme is kind of boring.
I like the ending theme of Roberta's Blood Trail, just because for some reason there's some. Okay, it's because I like Johnny, I Hardly Knew You by the Dropkick Murphys. I just love when Johnny Comes Marching Home Again because of that. It just, like, it does it for me.
I always remembered as The Ants Come Marching.
That's like saying Simon and Garfunkel wrote Scarborough Fair.
Fun fact, that song's in the public domain.
Who taught you that?
Wikipedia.
And me.
Actually, Wikipedia taught me first.
Okay.
I wasn't... Never mind. That's not the point.
World End and Wikipedia taught me that song's in the public domain.
Anyway, on to my least favorite arc in the entire series, which is the Japan arc. With fucking Genji and the fucking... I hated this whole arc. It's just so depressing, and it just makes me sad.
I saw this really as just, like, a good point for Rock to, like, reflect and just sort of show, like, how much he's changed as a character, like, from, like, when he first started as the clueless salaryman who sort of just got strung along with this, to actually being part of Lagoon Company for a while and then coming home and just seeing it differently as than he would with how much he's changed. Honestly, that's the main point that I got from the Japan arc. It was to show how much Rock had developed as a character.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
That's what stood out to me the most, at least.
Interesting thing is in the dub, when they're in Japan, basically Rock acts as their translator, for Balalaika, and like Revy is basically like his muscle,
his bodyguard.
That's what muscle means.
I mean, that was what she was formerly hired as.
That muscle means bodyguard. Okay, same fucking thing. God damn it. Anyway, the point is, what's interesting about these scenes is they leave the Japanese track intact for Mr. Bondo for at least the scenes that Rock needs to be translating, and they actually have Brad Swale speaking Japanese and translating, which I thought was really fucking cool.
Yeah, you don't see that very often in any dub from any era. Like the only other one I can think where they did that is Cross Ange, where the cast sang this sort of like lullaby enchantment magic song thing in Japanese. They didn't translate it.
There was also a few moments in Steins Gate Zero where Monica Rial's character, I think, had to speak a little bit of Japanese because she was giving her presentation.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, those English voice actors speaking Japanese in an anime are few and far between. So it's kind of a big deal when it happens.
And then in another anime called Hakkenden, Eight Dogs of the East, Juliet Simmons actually has to sing a little bit in Japanese for one character, and I think she actually speaks Japanese, like, fluently.
Pretty sure she does.
Anyway. Okay, let's talk about Genji and the crime family, and, oh god, that poor girl. There are a couple of moments throughout the show where I kept waiting for characters. Okay, because my favorite trope, honestly, is characters who seem, like, really, like, meek and vulnerable and, like, end up being, like, super badass. And I just kept waiting for, like, that shoe to drop, and then it never did, and I was really disappointed.
Yeah,
like, I was like, bitch, you were a part of a crime family. What the fuck?
Honestly, there were times where there was, like, a lot of tension and build up for nothing. Like you feel like they just kept making you think shit's gonna go down any second now, and then it just, like, leveled out, and that was it.
Yeah, just this whole arc was just a mess from the start.
Yeah.
It is very much hinted that Yukio is in love with Genji. So this arc basically follows Yukio Washimime, who is the last heir to the Washimime clan, which are basically a Yakuza family. And then there's, like, a bunch of, like, violent uprising with, like, rival gangs, and then somehow Hotel Moscow is involved, and honestly, this whole part was just, like, really confusing and really violent, and also features this this incredibly charming man named Chaka.
I honestly really liked Genji's character. It sort of felt like he fit in better with Lagoon Company than the Washimine group. I thought, like, maybe it would be. I sort of thought, like, One Piece. Maybe he'll be the next to join the boat. But no.
Although the fight at the end was pretty badass, like, not gonna lie.
That reminded me of the big finale in Cowboy Bebop with Spike and Vicious, where guns clashed with swords, like, literally making contact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
That had the same energy, except the only difference is that Vicious had one sword and Genji had two. Or they were both dual wielding, rather. But yeah, it was a really well choreographed fight, like, considering how awkward the.
Oh, fun fact: Tetsuro Araki did some animation direction.
Ooh.
I think he did the storyboards for. I think I fucking told you that too.
I'm pretty sure you did.
But yeah, Tetsuro Araki worked on this show, which is pretty sweet. And if you don't know who that is, he directed this, I don't know, these really obscure shows called High School of the Dead and Attack on Titan.
Dude knows his fight scenes.
So yeah, it's pretty dope.
Like, you remember that scene in like the newest season of Attack on Titan where Levi basically flees on his on his ODM gear and kills a bunch of people with it at the same time? That was Araki. In, like, the most seamless, fluid motion.
Are you talking about the time he, like, Beyblades himself?
Beyblades, but then just also, like, treats his ODM cables like bullets and snipers people through the neck with them.
I think what he's most famously known for is High School of the Dead, where a bullet flies through. I'm just kidding. The famous boob shot.
Oh, you mean the booby gun mount?
Yeah. No, like where the bullet comes flying and it's like.
Yeah, I know. I remember that one.
Anyway. Let's see. Let's take a really short break, and then we'll come back and talk about Roberta's Blood Trail.
Yes!
Which is the 5-part OVA that is extremely long, but really good.
This episode is brought to you by Brews and the Boys. So, what's your favorite American football team? Did you say the Dallas Cowboys? If you didn't, you're wrong. And if you're still saying, well, Tim, no, they're not my favorite team, well, let me recommend that you listen to the Brews and the Boys podcast with Michael Sizemore and Tom Ryle of Blogging the Boys so that they can prove to you that your favorite team is indeed the Dallas Cowboys. Brews and the Boys is your friendly neighborhood podcast that's a lot like going down to your friendly neighborhood bar and watching and talking about the game with your friends. Every week, Michael and Tom give an in-depth analysis about what the Cowboys have done, what they're doing, their player stats, player analysis, everything under the sun that you need to know about the Dallas Cowboys you can find from Michael Sizemore and Tom Ryle every week on the Brews and the Boys podcast, on Blogging the Boys, and the Vox Media Podcast Network. For more information and episodes, head on over to brewsandtheboys.com. And now, back to the show.
And we're back. So now we are talking about Roberta's Blood Trail, which is the 5-part OVA, which is based on the manga arc called La Baile de la Muerte, or The Dance of Death. Once again, the fucking Loveless family, man, they just do not have the best luck.
No, but their bad luck makes for some great storytelling.
So the head of the Loveless family, I think his name is Diego Garcia. But anyway, this whole story gets like really complicated, but essentially like he's killed in like a bombing, and then like somehow the Americans get involved, and like it's just nuts.
Yeah, the whole family is just eccentric, I guess is the polite word.
Well, I wouldn't say eccentric. They just have a lot of, like...
Really, we just see Garcia... In Blood Trail, we just see Garcia grow up super fast.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So basically, for this, one of their maids, Roberta, who we saw earlier at one of the guys who, or one of the people who was capable of pulling a full-grown man out of a moving vehicle with one hand. And just deciding, you know what, you get to live, and setting him back in there.
Okay, so basically after Roberta's former employer, Diego Loveless, dies in an explosion set by U.S. agents at an event of an emerging left-wing party in South America, she disappears to hunt down and kill the perpetrators. And then somehow Garcia Loveless ends up in Roanapur yet again, accompanied by another maid who's pretty much the same age as him, known as Fabiola Iglesias. So Fabiola goes to like track him down, and then they yet again end up at that same poor bar that keeps getting shot up.
Lord have mercy on his insurance, praise be.
And a group of thugs try to shake down Fabiola, and when suddenly she pulls out her big ass fucking guns.
Yeah, those maid outfits are great for concealing big ass fucking weapons. Just like hammer, like there's hammer space behind that thing. Just, oh no, we're gonna fight? Say hello to my little friends. Like cartoonish style hammer space.
But then I guess like Revy calls her on, like that was the first time she ever had to use them. So anyway, so yeah, they find themselves in the presence of we haven't talked about this character yet, but fucking Chang.
Frickin' Chang, man.
So Chang is part of the Hong Kong Triad. He is basically okay. So he is adept at dual wielding pistols, just like Revy. And most of his backstory is kind of like a mystery to the extent, but we know that he may have been a cop back in China.
When good cops go bad.
Like, they think he may have been like they think he might have been like a dirty cop to begin with. But he claims to hate hypocrisy more than anything else. And he says that he has looked into the hearts of human beings and seen things you can't even imagine. There is speculation that Chang left the Hong Kong police force because of corruption within the ranks. It is not known if Roanapur was Chang's original post or how long he has been in the city. But he has fought Balalaika when Hotel Moscow came to the city in a battle so intense that it nearly destroyed everything.
Honestly, I want to see that, because if this were like a shonen or DBZ or like a shonen anime, I could understand how like a fight between two people could wreck a lot of shit. But this is just like guns and knives and shit. So I just want to see like how heavy was the artillery they were using. Like,
I mean, considering they both have enough, like both of them run enough weapons to fund like an entire fucking country.
I just have like this crazy idea where it just first like starts as a shootout, and then you just see like Black Hawk helicopters and with missile salvos on them, and just all this crazy shit, just airborne shit just going on.
Other fun side characters really quick are Frederica, who is the girl that like talks through
the voice box.
Yeah. And she has like a affinity for chainsaws. She's also known as Sawyer the Cleaner. And then Loudon, who like, I swear to God, he like his entire look is like so like okay, like you know that meme with that nerdy kid that's like I trained by the sword, blah 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 blah. Like he literally calls himself like Lawton the Wizard. It's just like, are you fucking? He's such a weeb. Is basically
the underground lets you give yourself like the whatever crazy stupid fucking nickname you want, as long as you can back it up. Like, you can call yourself whatever you want.
Oh, for sure. Although he claims he is actually allergic to alcohol and does not drink. But no, as much as I'm making fun of him, there's fan speculation that he's pretty, like, he bears this pretty strong resemblance to Raiden of Metal Gear, as well as Sakamoto from the series Gintama. Mm-hmm. And then his personality is kind of almost like a Shinubio, but way more violent.
I get that.
It's pretty funny. But anyway, back to Roberta's blood trail.
It's called Blood Trail because Roberta is not the most diplomatic in her approach to finding this guy. And so whenever she goes somewhere, like every town she goes to like looking for this guy, she scares the bejesus out of half the population, like to the point that they're just traumatized.
She's looking for a group of U.S. mercenaries that were responsible for the death of Diego Lovelace. But she knows that Garcia, and then Garcia comes on his own to save her. He comes with Fabiola.
Mm-hmm. And Lagoon Company basically just tags along.
Yeah, they somehow get like super roped into this, and then Rock starts trying to make bets with Mr. Chang, and then that's such a whole fucking rabbit hole altogether.
Okay, glad you brought that up. What the fuck happened with Rock? He goes from just like, I am glad that Brad Swale played him, because he was like light fucking Yagami. Like, oh, I am the mastermind behind this. Wave of my fingers, butterfly effect, and suddenly we're on a different continent. What the fuck?
Okay, so a lot of important information is cut and changed in order of scenes for dramatic emphasis. And then the OVA also removed some scenes that explained things like Chang and Balalaika's conversation about Gray Fox at the dock, and why Chang asked Balalaika to avoid attacking them, but only to provide cover so they can escape, and how she was indecisive, which is not present in the OVA, but only in pictures through Rock's flashbacks, and also a short conversation between Caxton and Dutch about Vietnam, and Caxton's subsequent warning to Benny and Rock that Dutch is lying about his past. Like, all of that's, like, completely gone from the OVA.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that.
Which is really shitty, because that's a bunch of really interesting information. So yeah, Rock goes a little cray-cray.
Yeah, like,
to say the least.
He is really, like, abnormally dark in this arc. Just, like, he don't give a shit.
So yeah, encouraged by Chang, Rock agrees to help locate Roberta. Dutch, however, strongly urges him to, like, get the fuck out of there should he be unable to locate Roberta before the conflict with the United States escalates. Rock, accompanied by Benny, takes Garcia and Fabiola along for a round of fruitless investigations. And then, like, Rock enlists Revy's help, who proves more successful than him in getting the townsfolk to talk about Roberta's whereabouts.
And this is where his character development really shines, just because there's a bit of a jump, but you also see just how comfortable he is just with this life of crime. Like, there's zero hesitation with him now. He's letting it all hang out pretty much. He does not care. He's embracing it and does not care very much anymore. Just, okay, if I'm going to do illegal shit, I'm going to own it. Like, he does not hesitate. He just does it and just embraces the darkness.
Yeah, he pretty much just, like, there's a point in which in the manga where he gets even darker, and then, like, it to the point where, like, it, like, even scares Revy a little bit, and she has to, like, kind of try to, like, snap him out of it. But anyway, she gets really mad at him at the end of this arc and, like, just, like, beats the crap out of him because she's so pissed at him. Because he's just like, yeah, well, whatever, I did what I had to do. And she's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Like, if it gets too extreme even for Revy, you know it's some crazy shit.
Oh, yeah. But you can tell that this is where a lot of fans speculate that, like, maybe Revy has, like, feelings for Rock, but she just can't express it in a normal way because of how fucked up her life is.
Honestly, I got that vibe too from this. Like, she's abnormally caring in this without, like, compared to other times. I mean, yes, that Rock is abnormally different here, but at the same time, she is showing a lot more of her concern and compassion than she usually did. So yeah, I definitely see where people think there are feelings there.
And also, so speaking of, like, weird feelings, so it turns out Roberta is actually under the influence of a very strong stimulant, that basically makes her go all batshit to the point where she, like, literally starts hallucinating.
That's an actual thing in the military. Like, like in World War II, the Germans gave their soldiers, like, literal meth. Like slightly above a microdose of meth to, like, keep them fighting on and fighting for days. It wasn't just the Germans. It was like I know the Finnish did it. I know, pretty sure the Norwegians did it. But that is not new for people in the military. Like, for those kind of stimulants, they have them and they use them. Well, not anymore, but they were easy to come by if you were in the military.
And so Roberta continues her killing spree until she comes across Cuban special forces, and they've actually met before. I think that was the guy that like trained her. Mm-hmm. And she attempts to seduce him and then basically gets the drop on him. But
that was the belt that I mentioned, where she has like this, rips off her belt buckle and has like 4 chambers in it, and she just empties them into his stomach.
And this part's really fucked up too, because it turns out like Garcia has been there the whole time, but she thinks he's a hallucination, and she almost tries to shoot him, but then the Americans intervene and stop her.
And Garcia has to not watch, but at least listen to like this beloved person, like what he thinks is like just throw herself away, degrade herself into and just seducing this officer, and it is just traumatizing to watch.
Yeah, it's really gross. So next bit of stuff is that the Lagoon Company catches up to what's going on, and then there's like a bunch of stuff with the Americans, because now the Americans have Garcia, and then Balalaika finally intervenes, and tells the U.S. troops over the radio like where Roberta is. Unfortunately, Revy gets like injured in this process. And then fucking Etta finally arrives, revealing that she had actually sold a large amount of supplies, and tells Rock that he's going to have to call call in the missing piece himself. And when he does, like, Dutch is like fucking furious, like absolutely furious, because he knows what basically Dutch kind of figures out, like, he calls Dutch, tells him about a job, and then Mr. Chang calls and tells him about a job to get the U.S. troops, like, out of the city. But meanwhile, like, Balalaika is still kind of chasing them.
It was sort of odd how they sort of, like, became military subcontractors. Like, give these guys a ride, basically. Like, extract them, get them out of there. And it was just odd to see a mercenary company cooperating with military, of any military.
Yeah, the whole part was just strange.
Yeah. I mean, not that it couldn't happen, it's just it never does.
So then the final chapter ends with basically the Lagoon Company takes Garcia, Fabiola, and the military group, led by Lieutenant Shane, to the Golden Triangle. And then there's like an ambush in the jungle that ends with Roberta and Garcia in kind of like a showdown. And then they like shoot each other, essentially. Okay, and then basically they get into a game what they call Cambodian roulette.
Yeah, I didn't understand what that was.
Basically, as there was no guarantee Roberta wouldn't have killed him when she reflexively fired back.
Okay, that sort of makes more sense.
It's like a Mexican standoff.
Okay, that makes... Okay.
And then this all ends with one of the most awkward fucking resolutions ever.
Yeah.
Where, basically, to snap Roberta out of her cray-crayness, Garcia straight up, like, makes out with her.
Yeah, and while she's, like, on her back bleeding out.
And she I don't know, this part is just so fucking weird and gross. It's just like, okay, let me get this straight. A 15-year-old boy just, like, passionately kisses an adult fucking woman.
Yeah.
What the fucking fuck?
It was just odd. I mean, he couldn't have just jumped on her and slapped her or something to snap her out of it.
I think it's hinted that they both have feelings for each other.
Oh, it is more than hinted.
Extremely disturbing.
It is more than hinted.
Yeah, it's like so it's like so fucking disturbing to me. I can't even. Meanwhile, Etta contacts Langley back in America. And back in Roanapur months later, Chang had in fact sent the Lagoon Company a bunch of bonuses for a job well done. And then like Rock kind of like laments that like nothing's really changed. And then that's kind of when like Revy like goes off on him and tells him that like, look, like if you continue down this path, like bad shit's gonna happen. And then she gets really mad at him and beats the crap out of him.
Then Rock's like, yeah, I really don't feel like going home and having to explain to my boss where I've been for the last several months or what I've been doing, so I'll just stay here, I guess.
And then Revy gets really mad at him for saying that, because she's like, what are you talking about?
You know she's secretly happy that he's staying. That's how she expresses love, with her fists.
I mean, like, yes and no. I think because again, some other shit goes down in the manga, and she's genuine. She still sees him as like having a chance to live like a normal life, whereas for the rest of them, it's pretty much too late, and she doesn't want to see him corrupted like the rest of them.
Honestly, after Roberta's blood trail, he is more than corrupted. After all that, like his whole like descent into darkness thing, yeah, he got out, but he's still there.
I mean, just read the manga, because some shit happens.
I'm gonna have to.
I think it's actually completed by now.
How many volumes is it?
About 11 volumes or so.
Still ongoing though. From 2002 to present.
But like, wait, how are there only 11 volumes if this has been going on since 2002?
They must be really thick volumes, like full on like Scholastic Edition volumes.
I mean, like the copies that I get them, but they're like in a bunch of different boxes. Anyway, any other closing notes?
This show was batshit. I liked it. It was a wild ride. Yeah. I'm still on the fence about, like, do I love it enough to buy it? But
I don't know if Funimation still has their
they have the rights to it.
No, I mean, like, I don't know if they still have their limited edition, which came in literally like a bullet cartridge box. Like an artillery tackle box. It was pretty dope.
I thought that was Gangsta or some other show.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I know, like some crime show like that did something similar.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Okay, I'm thinking of something else then.
I'm probably not thinking of anything. But yeah, it literally comes in like an artillery, and it comes with like a dog tag, a lighter, the three Blu-rays, and it comes in like a tackle box. But I think it's out of print. Like, I think you can only get it like Blu-ray DVD combo pack or whatever.
Yeah, I've only been able to find you can buy it both. They have both seasons on one pack, and then the OVAs are separate, so it's not a bank breaker. But yeah, it's good.
But yeah, the original limited edition had 3 discs plus the OVAs, and it came in like a tackle box. And I wish I had bought it when it first came out, but I didn't. Sadly, I did not.
Looks like the edition reached its limits. Yeah.
That was terrible.
Oh, thank you. That means the world to me.
Like that was legitimately like I mean, okay, look, it wouldn't be Matt if it weren't like 90% cringe.
Yeah, that is my brand.
It's pretty much just his brand by now. It's
either cringe or hilarious. There's no in between.
No, it's mostly just cringe.
Well, yeah, it's mostly cringe, but if it's not cringe, it's hilarious.
It's hilariously cringy.
Mm-hmm. That it is. Does that about wrap things up?
I would say so.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for joining us on.
But really quick.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Really quick. Well, okay. Actually, yeah. Like, thanks for tuning in. But next episode, I'm thinking we're just gonna continue on this like action-packed thrill ride, and just watch another show about fucking gun runners, which is Jormungand. Which, you know, is one of Matt's favorite shows, and he better fucking take fucking notes on this one.
I will. Sometimes when I'm too enthralled in a show, I forget to take notes.
But also, like, this one also has, like, a pretty awesome soundtrack as well, and the dub is also really awesome.
Season 1's opening song and Black Lagoons are actually pretty similar. Like, they use the same synthesizer.
A little bit.
Like, listen to them side by side, you'll hear it.
I know they fucking use vocal processing and, like, vocal enhancements, okay? I'm not fucking stupid. I just think they use them in slightly different ways. Like, my best friend's an audio engineer. I know these things.
Okay.
Anyway, the point is, we hope everyone's at least had, you know, I don't want to say like a happy quarantine, but we hope everyone's still, you know, staying safe out there. And we hope that our podcast has been able to help you get through the uncertain time that we're facing right now of being cooped up in our houses.
Idea for a drink: throw whatever alcohol and whatever garnishes you have into a martini glass and call it a quarantini.
The Quarantini King's Cup.
Send us your quarantini recipes by following us on Twitter at Dubterfuge and tweeting at us.
And yeah, so if you ever want to get a hold of us, please feel free to tweet at us at Dubterfuge on Twitter, or shoot us an email at dubterfuge@gmail.com.
You can also follow us on our personal socials. I'm at Matthew H. Voss on Twitter.
I can be found on Twitter at Lunatic, which is capital L, 3 O's, NAHTIC. Good night and good luck. I'm just kidding. Anyway, thank you so much for listening.
Edward R. Luna, everybody. Okay,
these are our brains on quarantine.
Yes, we're just gonna close this out now before it gets worse.
Exactly.
So thank you. Good night. Good luck. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Hug people from a distance.
Yes. Just remain at least 6 feet apart.
Alrighty then.
We will see you all next time. Thank you.
Later.
Dubterfuge is produced and distributed by Shui Media. The show is created and is hosted by Stella Luna and Matt Voss. The show is edited and mixed by Tim Philippi. The show's theme song is Giraffes by Harrison Amer. If you'd like to help people find the show, please be sure to leave a 5-star rating in iTunes. Believe it or not, it goes a long way in helping the show get seen and heard. You can also reach out to Luna and Matt with any questions or comments on Twitter and Facebook at Dubterfuge or at dubterfuge@gmail.com. For more information, visit dubterfuge.com and shuimedia.com.